No question. So let's jump into our new segment for stacking up, and that's what the recruiting on paper. And this is a little bit different, I guess, than last week. Not last week, yesterday, the other side of the ball. So why don't you throw that up there, and let's talk about the recruiting side of things. We're talking Notre Dame's defense versus Wisconsin's offense. And
what's interesting is it's kind of the opposite of yesterday's, Vince.
Yeah.
In that Notre Dame's offense is loaded with 4 or 5-star players. One 5-star, 8 4-star players in the starting lineup. That's been the case for years at Notre Dame. I mean, Notre Dame hasn't had an issue putting highly ranked players in the field on offense. They've just had a problem getting those highly ranked players to produce like you sure. think that they would, especially earlier in their careers. Defensively, Notre Dame's been producing a lot of, big-time players that weren't necessarily big-time recruits. Julian Aguara was not a top 200 recruit. Jerry Tillery was a offensive lineman. Jeremiah Wusu-Koramo was a 3-star recruit. Julian Love was mainly a 3-star, low 4-star recruit. Troy Pride wasn't a highly ranked guy. Jalen Elliott wasn't a highly ranked guy. Alohi Gilman was a 2-star that transferred from Miami. You get the point, right? Drew Tranquil was not a highly ranked recruit, and on and on and on and on. And yet the defense has been really good. The interesting thing about it is this is what Brian Kelly has always said throughout his career and his tenure, even going back to his first year, was, hey, look, we can scheme our way into points on offense. Defense is where you really need the better players. Well, from a recruiting standpoint, that's not where Notre Dame's best players have primarily been in most situations. And yet the defense is what's carried this football team the last 4 years. And this is also a little bit more of an even matchup than it was, because in this one, as you see, Notre Dame has 6 4-star players in their starting lineup. Wisconsin has 5 on offense.
Yeah.
And there are some highly ranked kids that come off that are that are depth chart guys, but this one is a little bit more evenly matched than yesterday's was. But at the same time, you see a kid that was ranked 3,589. You know what I mean? That's starting Wisconsin.
How's that possible?
They have a receiver that's probably their best receiver, or at least their possession guy that was ranked in the thousands. So still not a lineup filled with highly ranked players, but this is a team that has some talent.
Well, and I feel like the higher the ranking of the skill position guys, the more explosive they are and things of that nature. Well, the most explosive player on their offense is their running back, and he is the most explosive player on their offense. There's no two ways about it. They don't need guys necessarily to be explosive at the wide receiver position. They're there to catch the ball when they have to, move the chains kind of thing. Yeah, will they have a big play every now and again? Sure. But that's not necessarily how this offense is even put together. Tight end, possession receivers, a running back that can, be an explosive guy. And he is. Look, again, as the defensive coordinator going up against Wisconsin, what do you need to take away? You need to take away their running game. You need to take away Chez Mellusi. He's their best player, and that's the best part of what they do on offense.
Yeah, and that's certainly their most productive player. I still would argue that their best player is Jake Ferguson, the tight end. They just haven't really thrown the ball a ton this year. I think Jake's their best player. He just hasn't necessarily got the touches. I think Chez has certainly been their most productive player, and that's the nature of their offense. And so, when you look at this from a recruiting standpoint, Notre Dame up front has a mix of 4-star and 3-star players, exactly what Wisconsin does from a 4- and 3-star standpoint on their offensive line. Skill-wise, Notre Dame is a mix of 4- and 3-star players at the secondary positions, same with Wisconsin. So from a pure recruiting standpoint, this is what's so interesting about it, Vince. From a pure recruiting standpoint, this is the more evenly matched up part of the game, although I think you and I would probably argue that if we're taking recruiting out and just argue just what we see on film, it's the Wisconsin defense filled with a bunch of 3-star recruits that is the fuel behind their team. So it is similar. It is kind of interesting how similar Wisconsin and Notre Dame are in that regard.
From a recruiting standpoint.
Yeah. Whereas there's more highly ranked kids on the offense than the defense, yet it's the defense that is the driving force behind that team's success. So certainly interesting in that regards. But, you kind of talk about Chez Mellusi. He's a transfer from Clemson. And so that's another thing is it's not a surprise that their highly ranked back is a guy that came from somewhere else.
Sure.
And if you're a running back looking to transfer, I don't know why you wouldn't look at Wisconsin, at least as an option.
Absolutely. I mean, you kidding me?
You're going to get touches.
All I would do is if I was the offensive staff and I was trying to, lure a transfer kid that's a highly ranked running back, I just take him to the offensive line room. Be like, these are the guys you get to run behind. Where do you sign?
They're
you
big
sign
boys.
Right here.
They're big boys.
I mean, they're and they push people around. I mean, they've got an attitude. They are a very prototypical Midwest, Big Ten offensive line that's just going to push you around. And I love those offensive lines.
And what I like about it too, from a recruiting standpoint, Vince, is they have 2 4-star offensive linemen in their starting lineup. They have more 4-star offensive linemen on the bench than they do in the starting lineup, which is what I like about him. Because, hey, look, I don't care what your ranking is. If Josh Seltzner's gives us a better chance to win, he's playing over you, whether you're a 4-star guy or a returning starter. Kendrick Lyles has started a bunch of games for them. Logan Brown was a top 100 recruit. He's not starting on the offensive line. So it really is impressive. Vince, before we move on to – I'll get it, I swear. Before we get to the run game breakdown, we do have another super chat from Dino Bambino 23.
Love
Great
that
name, by the way.
Love it.
Says, hey, guys, are y'all going to the game this Saturday? I'm taking my wife for our first wedding anniversary. That is a great wedding anniversary present for you. I am curious if it's going to be the same for your wife. But she agreed to it, so that's pretty awesome. You must have a good one there, buddy.
Yeah, no kidding.
But congratulations on that. I will not be there. He will. Vince will be.
I will be there. So we'll see how that goes. Like I said, I want a peaceful drive home. So
yes.
I'm really counting on Notre Dame to step it up here. That's for sure.
Yes, but Dino, congratulations on the year anniversary, and of course on being able to convince your wife to spend that 1-year anniversary going to a Notre Dame football game in Chicago. That's pretty awesome.
Are you going to eat the year-old cake? That's what I want to know. Did you do that when you had your 1-year anniversary? Yeah, we did too.
We had amaretto flavored cake, which was really good.
Nice.
Yeah, we actually froze it because we got married in Ohio and then drove out to Colorado where we lived.
Oh, wow.
And so we left the frozen cake in Ohio with my grandmother's freezer, and then we were out. So we didn't do it like on our 1-year anniversary. We did it around then.
In the neighborhood of
1 year ish, and had it. But but I did not think I was going to like that cake. My wife picked that flavor out, but it was a cherry chip with amaretto frosting. It was a cherry chip cake with amaretto frosting.
Nice.
And so 1 year she actually made me cherry chip cupcakes with amaretto frosting, and she would slice and then roast almonds and put those around it too. Jeez. Phenomenal. My wife can really, really bake. She doesn't do it often, but when she does, it's phenomenal. So Dino, thank you for the super chat, and
congratulations,
and again,
man.
Enjoy the game this weekend.
First of many.